Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the High Vibe Home Podcast. I'm your host, Nixie Marie, and I'm so excited to be back with you all again for a very special topic to explore deeper into our intentions and ways that we can live more holistically and mindfully within our spaces and within ourselves. On today's episode, we're going to be exploring the topic around the importance of energetically cleansing your space. Since we have entered this beautiful spring season, I always encourage a very deep, energetic, and spiritual cleansing of your home. Your environment often becomes a big part of everything that goes on within you. And in Feng Shui, we like to say that your electromagnetic field that you create, that is around you through your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions, all of this is what is created in your environment. So essentially, you yourself are what creates your environment. You bring the energy into your space, and you know what? So do your guests. And also sometimes we can bring in unwanted energies from the outside world. So before we get into today's episode, I do want to remind you guys that we have a very special workshop where we're going to be exploring just exactly how you can energetically space clear your home in a more professional, ceremonial standpoint so that you are consciously creating what it is that your home gets to provide for you. So this workshop is going to be taking place just before the spring equinox on March 18th. I want to invite you into that workshop. I do a masterclass every single month where we explore a different topic around Feng Shui, dive deeper into it, and also provide you with some tools that you need to get started on your journey as you embark on intentional living. All right, so I first want to get started in terms of my background and my history around energetically space clearing homes. Now, before I really devoted myself to becoming a Feng Shui teacher and practitioner, I owned a green cleaning company and I actually cleaned homes. And this was, for those of you guys that have actually listened to the podcast prior to all of my evolutions, when we had it as Goddess Collective and New Earth and all of those things, kind of looking back almost 7 years now, you know that I have been on quite a journey of my evolution. And I love those that have been on the journey with me. You are amazing. And I just love that you're maybe still here from those first few years where I kind of started my journey in my spiritual path, wanted to share it on my podcast, and also really trying to find my journey in success and business, because that has always been something I really love. And I never thought in a million years I'd end up owning a cleaning business, cleaning homes, and I often ask the universe so many times, what am I doing? Why am I cleaning homes? Why am I cleaning toilets? And you know what the beautiful thing about the world, and sometimes just when we are a little lost and we start to focus out and help someone else, the beautiful thing that came to me was all of a sudden I realized right in front of me was a very easy, lucrative business that I could create by training others to actually clean homes the way that I was cleaning it. My clientele base grew very quickly because, first of all, we were really good. We had a very basic understanding of cleaning, but the more important thing that I realized I was doing was I could manipulate energy based on the products that I used and also the energy and the intention behind what I was cleaning. So we would actually go into spaces, not only clean the physical, but also clean the energetic. So I've learned a lot about what actually we create in a space and the types of energies and the types of ways we can manipulate energy in our homes and in our environment. And with that being said, you know, it's really important how we feel when we're doing these things. And I know that some of you might think that cleaning is a very mundane task, or it might not be magical or mystical or even spiritual for that matter. But I really believe that, and truly not even just a belief, but when I looked back into the history of cleaning and cleansing spaces, this is such a vital essence to the purification of not only our external spaces, but also within us. When you look back to, the Chinese culture, and we look to study what monks would perform as their duties on a daily basis, we see that monks actually used brooms to clean and sweep the temples and really focus on maintaining a high vibrational space so that people could come to worship the deities, worship the gods, and really connect to their higher selves. And without that energy being a vibration that would allow for people to come, spill their heart, their soul, their emotions, then the space itself wouldn't feel sacred. So I really see that cleaning is a sacred act. And I had many experiences going through my business of having that confirmation that this, in fact, cleaning a space, cleaning a home, tending to maybe even someone else's home, is such a beautiful sacred act that is so overlooked in our society. We look at cleaning as a very low paying job, or we look at certain genders, we look at certain race, and we say that this is who's supposed to clean homes. And I really have a hard time with a lot of that, because I think that we've lost the sacredness in a lot of things. And when we look to spiritual ecology, we see that there's a sacredness in our connection with the outside world and bringing it in. So that is a little bit about my story and my experience on my basic understanding. And then, of course, when I went through my Feng Shui training and I was properly trained on space clearing, a lot of what I was already doing, I realized in my business was similar to what Feng Shui actually is, and also how to properly space clear a home. We see space clearing across history from the Native American cultures. We see it in Chinese cultures. We see it in Mayan cultures. We see it across the cultures in so many different places in the world. And so it isn't really specific to a type of culture. Now, in the Native American traditions, of course, there is a lot to be said for using the terminology in a way that isn't taking from or, borrowing the things that they actually own. Now, just because I might be Native American on both sides of my family, way down my lineage, doesn't mean that I don't honor and make sure that I'm using the right phrase and not taking from that which, is another culture's. So we want to be mindful about how we say, whether it's smudging, saging, cleansing. I personally like to say space clearing, because this is what Feng Shui, the terminology of Feng Shui actually brings it into the surface, is we space clear, not necessarily just with, sage or scents or Palo Santo, but I want to take you on a journey a little bit deeper and using sound, using your body, using your words, using your vessel, and a lot of different elements that actually can really manipulate the energy field. Because just by, creating smoke, yes, that is going to bring in a scent. And it's said that with sage, we can actually purify and cleanse the space. But there's also vibration, there's sound, and we can do that with not only our bodies, but our words that we say, and also by creating a ripple in our space so that we're actually really breaking up the energy. Because a lot of times what I see is when I'm working with clients, and let's say there's been a bad breakup and you're still living in an apartment that you had this bad breakup in, and you feel really, just not yourself. You don't really feel like your energy's in the space. We need to really break up that energy. We need to create a new template so that your energy can be permeated, because energy is made up in the walls. It's made up in the carpets and the floors. It is really everywhere. So there's so much to say for the importance of space clearing. So when we go to how Feng Shui and energy are connected, well, Feng Shui is actually everything, right? That connects us to understanding energy flow. And my journey with energy is really my own journey. I think we each have our own journey with how we can relate to energy, how we see energy, how we feel energy. And the more that we connect to it, the more that we exercise that muscle, the deeper we understand the way how energy flows. So essentially, energy is always in motion, right? So everything around us is constantly moving. When you align your frequency to the frequency of your desired outcome within your space, you will actually become a match for that reality. So the goal with energetically space clearing is not so much as just removing negative energy, but it's also aligning your space with the vibration of that which you desire. So your home can be such an amazing tool for manifestation, especially tapping into your subconscious mind. I am one that has quotes all over my homes because I have a few, but I love having quotes, things that remind me who I am, things that tell me what I'm working towards, remind me of my goals. I mean, we are so good as humans at really just manipulating and thinking and really convincing ourselves of our lack of self-worth, our lack of confidence. We're just basically really good at self-sabotaging. I know that I am really good at it as well. So we really need to have a lot of reminders right in front of us that tells our subconscious who we really freaking are. Because it is so easy to tell ourselves, I'm not worthy of that, I can't create that, or even just forget the aim and the focus and the desired outcome that we truly want in life. So in Feng Shui, we actually see everything around us as energy. And we see that it is really no different from, nature outside. It's a connection to the unseen world. And as someone who might call themselves psychic, spiritual, witch, connected to a realm that is beyond your understanding, or a mystic, a healer, empathic, I mean, you name it, you can sense there's an energy there. And maybe you don't even define as any of those, and you actually love the more scientific views of our world. Well, science has proven that energy is everywhere. So really, we can tap into this as a benefit to start to learn how to work with and manipulate energy so that we actually are utilizing the energies around us to create our reality. So when we look to how we measure energy in our homes, we're using this by the three things that I want you to actually really think about when you're measuring energy is your feelings. How you feel is going to be a key indicator of how your space is affecting you. If you feel sad, your space is maybe sad. If you feel angry, maybe there's a lot of energy in your space that's holding past anger from previous renters, previous owners. And you get to really tune into that too, because a lot of the times when we are sensitive, when we are empathic, we are taking on other people's energy into our physical space. So what we also want to pay attention to is our emotions. What is coming up? I express sadness, anger. Well, it's very connected to our feeling, but what emotions are coming up when you come into your space? What do you feel? How is that now coming into an emotion? And also, where are your thoughts? Your thoughts is really where it all starts, because your thoughts are what creates everything around you. And what do all the master teachers, Buddha, Dalai Lama, all the ancient wisdom keepers, they were all teaching us that we get to be mindful and be conscious of our thoughts. Now, I am really good at forgetting this. I think we all are. But the practice of living more mindfully and really connecting to a high vibrational home and life is about focusing where our thoughts are going. Because we can think that we're never going to make it to that goal because we're not worthy, we're not capable, we have a lot of doubts and insecurities, or we're not confident enough, or we don't look a certain way, or we don't feel a certain way. But as soon as we stop that train of thought and retrain the thought to say, I am enough with who I am. I am beautiful just as I am be. I don't need to look like anyone else, talk like anyone else. I am fully capable of achieving anything I set my mind to, right? This brings me back to a time when I was a professional competitive cheerleader. Yes, I did this for about 7 years of my life. The biggest thing that I learned though in this time of tumbling and pushing my body to the limits and being an athlete really, is that I would visualize my tumbling skill and I would literally see myself landing it before I would go and actually do my backflips and folds and all these things that I trained myself to do. And that's how I would always land it every single time. I would see it in my mind and then I do it. And that was what taught me about, a lot of what we see in the law of attraction, Think and Grow Rich. A lot of, again, these ancient wisdom keepers are teaching us that everything starts in the mind. If you believe you can, you will. And so what we do in our spaces, in our homes, there's this missing link that I don't think we really kind of put the puzzle pieces together, is our space can actually become this web of the beliefs that maybe we forget or we don't often really tell ourselves, but we need to remind ourselves. So let your space become that. So by performing a space clearing in your home, you can actually vibrationally create your beliefs, the things that you wish and desire. Now, I do want to talk about a little psychic protection or energy protection first, because this is really important when we are space clearing. And it is important because we want to protect our home and our energies. We are sensitive beings. I assume you are, if you're probably listening to this podcast. And if you don't identify with someone who's sensitive, maybe you're an empath, or maybe perhaps you are kind of getting more attuned to this emotion that is more sensitive, this openness. Maybe you're becoming more sensitive. You're starting to pay attention to energies, because I do believe that if we're on a path of understanding energy flow, we actually get to honor our sensitivities, because how else are we going to feel and sense energy? We must understand and feel it by becoming open to seeing and feeling it. It's like when you walk into a room and you feel this wave of sadness or wave of anxiety because you've gone to the grocery store. Sometimes that is actually not yours. It's somebody else's, because there's so much energy going on, and we've got to put up our protection grid. So a couple ways that you can protect your home based on the Feng Shui principles is paying attention to your front door. The entranceway of your space is what we like to call the mouth of your chi. This is where all the chi, the good energy flow, the life force, the vitality comes into your home and permeates around the space. I like to say that if you could visualize, I'm very visual when I go through kind of my exercises and teach my students and clients. So when you open your front door, I want you to see that as the inhale of your house. So you see this inhale coming in, and the goal of good Feng Shui is that inhale actually breathes through your entire home and circles right back out, and that exhale goes back through your front door. So it's that inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And that's what life force and chi really is. It's that breath, that prana, everything that needs life and energy. So paying attention to your front door, we can hang an evil eye outside the front door. These are just some ways that you can protect your space. You can crystal grid the perimeter of your home. I also like to energetically create a grid around my space. When we live in Topanga in LA, we have a lot of coyotes, and we have a cat that loves to go outdoors. And so I learned from a psychic at one point that I could actually create an energy grid and make sure that no animal would cross that grid to come into the space. And believe it or not, I did this, and we've never had an issue with any coyotes coming into our backyard. Now, I created the grid because we do have a fence, but my cat jumps the fence. The closest thing that we've ever had a coyote is just beyond where exactly I set that grid. So that's what I've seen. I haven't seen them cross over the fence by any means, but that's just kind of saying, it's also confirming that we're energy and we can create energy around us. So when we tap into that perimeter of our space by crystal gridding, by energy grids, and when I mean energy grids, just to highlight that for a minute, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's actually getting into an alpha brainwave state, seeing a crystal grid, or not crystal, but a beautiful light grid of protection around your home, around your space, or even around you. So it's creating this bubble of white light. Basil is another option that you can place near your front door, or rosemary for protection if you want to work with some herbs. Painting your front door black. Black actually absorbs energy. So if you are a psychic medium or you're an energy worker, a healer, painting your door black might be really a great thing for you to consider, or even just painting the door black of your healing room or where you work in your space, because this is going to absorb energy and make sure that you're not absorbing the energy, right? Black tourmaline crystals are great underneath your bed, or even right in front of your front door, or underneath the mats, kind of, if you have the ability to do that without them sort of ruining the mats and getting all lumpy. Himalayan salt lamps are also really great, because Himalayan salt lamps actually remove the positive ions in a space, which is what we don't necessarily want. We really want the negative ions, the energies that really create the positive, uplifting happiness. If anybody has ever been to Sedona, Arizona, you know there's a very powerful vortex. You actually get a lot of negative ions in nature. We need those ions to feel good and happy inside. Another great thing is to put a saltwater cure in your front doorway. It is known in the Feng Shui traditions to use these cures to remove those energies and create good positive energy flow in your space. Okay, so now that we kind of understand a little bit more about protecting our spaces, we want to understand how we can boost our home's chi, the energy in our space, by doing a space clearing. So a couple things about your life force in your home. You really want to start by assessing where it currently is at. And you can do so by writing, journaling. How does your home feel? Tuning into your body, listening to each room. How does each room make you feel? So some ways, if you are feeling like, you need a chi boost, and it's a perfect time, no matter what, to shift the energy and bring that chi up, since we're coming out of those winter watery months. So we can add plants, making sure there's plants in every room, maintaining a clutter-free zone with daily clutter rituals, maintaining a regular cleaning schedule. This is very important to keep your home high vibes. Boost lighting with mood lights, different lights that are not so white for our eyes, but also kind of have dimmers, something that we can really turn down when we are feeling like we're overwhelmed with a lot of light. Natural lighting is also really important to create good chi in our space. I like to say there's a kind of rule of thumb in Feng Shui that you want to keep 10% of your surfaces clear. So we don't want to have too much cluttery surfaces. If you're someone who really loves to have, crystals or knickknacks or your protection items or whatever it is around you, that is great. So am I, but I always like to kind of keep 10% of my surfaces clear and clean of objects. Another thing we can do is create homes for everything in your space. So this is like your keys, your mail, your cords, things that often get sort of just like tossed on top of surfaces. We really want to make sure everything has a home for something. Another thing to boost your home's chi is to place a water feature, such as a fountain near your front door, or even the southeast section. For 2023, for those who are listening during this current year, sometimes, we have some listeners that are going to listen in the future. We don't know. Maybe we have your future self already listening. But for those that are in 2023, a fountain is actually best placed near the front door this year, not the southeast section. Every year, those numbers change as I start to learn about more about Feng Shui. Another thing that we really want to pay attention to boost our home's qi is paying attention to energy leaks, such as leaky faucets, broken door handles, and bathrooms. That really goes for anything that's broken in your space. If you have anything that is really bothering you, the leaky faucet, the door handle that's squeaking, something that doesn't really open, pay attention to that. If it's sort of irritating you, it's actually taking your energy. So it's also taking your home's energy. So we want to boost the qi by making sure we regularly maintain our items in our space and fix things that are broken. Another really important thing that I get asked a lot is, how do we actually test the energy of our home if we're not necessarily if we're not sensitive, we're not kind of there in a place where we can feel that energy. The energy of your home is vital to the development of your well-being, your happiness, and your peace, because your energy actually is what's going to make you feel a certain way, as I've mentioned. Each home has an energetic blueprint, and it is up to you to determine how it's being affected and what is around you. And a lot of times as a Feng Shui practitioner, we measure energy, the geopathic stress, the spirit lines. We look at everything that is going on around your space, including the land beneath you. So how you can start measuring your space is by dowsing, using divination tools, by tuning into your body, using muscle testing. You can also use pendulums and test the energy by walking into a bedroom, asking your pendulum, how does this energy, or what, you have to ask yes or no questions. So by asking the energy, is this energy positive? Is there anything affecting the space? And really just testing the energy in your home to determine and measure the qi. Dowsing rods are actually a really great way to measure the qi, and it's something that I actually do with every in-person client. We walk through the space, we use the dowsing rods by standing near the front door and walking through the space, and I actually ask the dowsing rods to show me where the qi is going around the space. So it really is just a guide to tell me, is qi flowing around the space, or do we need to direct the qi in ways to make the qi go around the entire home? When working with pendulums, you can go into each room and ask the pendulum if the room is balanced and if it has good flowing qi. And you can also do an EMF reading, which is very important to measure your home's EMFs, because this is what's going to also affect your energy. Using an EMF meter is the best way to really determine how much radiation is around you and your space. Having electrical boxes in your bedroom, office area, definitely not ideal, especially if you have sleep issues. So it is really advised to locate all the major areas that emit the highest frequencies or any radiation, and place a saltwater cure in this area. I like to also tell my clients and students to unplug your Wi-Fi at night and any other major appliances when they're not in use, because this is going to potentially affect your sleep, your restoration, the restoration of your organs, of your mind, of your energy, of your spirit. You need to have good sleep, right? So when you have a lot of technology and things affecting your sleep, it's really not good for your vitality and longevity. If you wake up tired, frustrated, you kind of are dragging your feet, this could be a sign of a lot of things, right? But one thing that can really help support you have more restful sleep is turning off your Wi-Fi and heavy appliances when you go to bed. So now that you have a bit of a better understanding on the importance of the energy of your space, I want to invite you into learning how you can properly space clear and energetically cleanse your space in my masterclass that's coming up on March 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be together for about 2 hours, and you'll be learning how to professionally space clear your home so that you are properly removing the energy, you're setting up protection, you're setting up a grid, and learning what other tools you can use aside from just sage or Palo Santo or smudging items creating in your life and everything you desire. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another episode of the High Vibe Home Podcast. If you're loving these episodes, then please leave us a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts. And please don't forget to like and subscribe over on YouTube. And I can't wait to see you guys all in my workshop coming up for how to energize